Hello everybody, Toby here again, 216 Auto Restoration, a 1968 Corvette. It's been about 2 weeks since I painted it, pulled it out of the booth. It turned out really nice, pulled the wheels and tires off. The owner went and took them in, get some new wheels and mounted, new tires mounted up on the wheels. He has the original wheels, so he's gonna keep those. And the car actually turned out really nice. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start the color sanding process. And what I mean by color sanding is really not sanding the color, you're sanding the clear coat. So I never understood why they called it color sanding, but anyway, that's what it is. That's what it's labeled, and that's the label that I will use. And that's the label everybody uses. But anyways, I'm going to start with just the hood, and to give you an idea of how to go about doing this. And I've done it on the 59 El Camino. If you will watch that, I did some pretty detailed process about that. So if you can catch that one on the 59 El Camino, it's a really good video, and it shows different steps that I went through. But before I start sanding, I just want to give you an idea of what I use here. So I use to color sand instead of just color sanding by hand. There's a way simpler process, and it's using these Trizact Pads. So I start with the 1500 grit right here. So here's all the part numbers. It's 3M. So I start with the 1500 grit, and when I get done with the 1500 grit, I'll move to the 3000 grit. And then after the 3000, I'll move up to a 5000 grit. So 1500 is not really aggressive, but it's fairly aggressive, but you know, not like a 600 or an 800 grit where you'd really be cutting and taking a lot of clear off. If you had maybe a lot of garbage, or if you wanted to flow coat the car, you could sand it with a 600 grit. You wouldn't have to get real aggressive with it, but just sand the whole car with 600 grit, and then you could re-clear the car with a couple more coats. Just gives it a little more brilliance to it. I've done that before, and I'm not sure if I noticed a huge difference. So if it's worth the time, maybe if you were going to be layering some more paint, doing some stripes, something like that, you might want to do that. But anyways, so I'm going to start with the 1500 grit. So I have my trusty Dynabrade sander here. These things are just amazing. I've had this for, I don't even know how long, but it's been years and years. They are the best thing I've ever found to use as sanding. I have one just for the clear, and I have one that I do just my regular sanding with to get the paint off before I paint a car. So also what I use is these soft pads. And here is the hook it pad. There's the part number for these hook it soft pads, and I have a couple of them on hand just in case. But these soft pads work really good because when you get towards edges and anything, and if you're putting a little pressure on, you're just pushing down on the pad and not so much pushing right on a very hard surface against a hard surface. So I got a soft surface in between this hard surface and the vehicle, which is a hard surface. So let me take you over here. I also use those soft pads on my sander when I'm just doing regular sanding. They just, you know, they're a little nicer, a little more comfortable to use. Try to get this set up here. So if you look closely, I'm gonna set this down. I'm talking about like getting garbage in the paint. Of course, this hood's been sitting here. It's been about 2 weeks. Just got back from vacation a couple days ago. Took my wife on our 40th anniversary. Went down to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. It was beautiful. Yes, go there if you have the opportunity and the means to do it. Go see it. It's absolutely beautiful. Careful of the sun. Yeah, I got fried, of course. Why wouldn't I? But anyways, what I'm talking about today, the garbage removal to get this nice and flat. If this was a daily driver car and not gonna be a show car, it would be fine the way it is. There's a little tiny bit of orange peel. Nothing that would be noticeable to anybody unless you're at a show car, at a car show, and people are walking around and they're judging it. I mean, not judging as in numbering, but people, just normal people judging your car, saying, oh, that car doesn't look that great, it looks okay. Anyway, that's what I'm talking about. People judging your car. They judge them at all the car shows. They're going to walk around and try to find any imperfection they can just so they can point it out to you. But what I'm going to point out to you, as far as like garbage, what I consider garbage, of course there's dust on here, so I'm going to wash it off really good before I get started, is like this right here. If you can see that, I hope you can see, there's just little bits of pieces of, I call it garbage, but it's really not garbage. Just the way the clear laid down, and maybe a little bit of solvent underneath there releasing, and a little bit of that. If you can see that light right there, you see there's just a little bit of waviness, and that's what I'm calling the orange peel, is that just that little bit of waviness. Most people would not even care about that, but yeah, this car is gonna, I'm gonna just do the best job I can and make it a beautiful looking car. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that. Try to get this out here where you can see a little bit better. So I'll start on the other side and you can just watch my process. So I'm just gonna have you follow along with me. So I'll spray the car off, I'll wash it really good. And I won't wash it with soap and water, but I'll just use water and a rag to clean it off, just get the dust off of it. So it has been sitting for about 2 weeks. And this is the process I basically use on every vehicle that I do. I'm not into just doing regular cars for people. It's just not my passion to do that. I want to do classic cars, hot rods, whatever you want to call them. I call them classics. Don't want to do any insurance jobs, any stuff like that. I have done a few fender benders for friends and family and fixed up some of that stuff for people, but that's really not my passion. This is my passion here, classic cars, and also guitars. I love playing music. Play music in a band. I love doing that. Play guitar and sing in a band. So that's been a lifetime deal for me since I was a kid. I did that. I've been still doing it now. I'm 61 years old, so I'm gonna keep doing this as long as I can. As long as I can keep the passion going, and if I can keep having fun doing it. If you take your time, you don't get too worked up about situations, because anything can be fixed. If I'm sanding on this and I'm sanding on it, I keep going and going, and I burn through the clear coat into the base coat. I just respray it and start all over. It's not like you ruined it, because it can be fixed and it can be taken care of. So just keep that in mind if you're working on a car and make little mistakes. I've done it. Most everybody that I've ever seen has done it. Even John Kosmowski from House of Color, he is basically the founder of House of Color Paint. In a super nice downdraft paint booth with all the means and all the money that a lot of these famous people have. Even when they're done doing a car, they come back and they still have they have some orange peel, and they have some little bits of garbage, even in the nicest booths that you can find. You watch Ken Diggett and all them other really good people that, they are extremely talented that stuff. Way more talented than I am. Way more talented than I am. Even in their paint booths, they'll come out and they still have garbage. So they go through the color sanding process too. So it's not like it's just me or people in homemade booths like this one here. It's pretty much everybody that's involved in any of this has to go through the same process. So I also have a bucket of water here and just a 1500 grit paper with my soft block. And if I have to get around anything, little stuff that's a little harder to reach with the round orbital sander or my DA sander, I can use this. I can just come along and get it with this 1500 grit too. I plan on hopefully not using this, but I have it just in case. And also with my block, because I will show you with my block how it's taking this down. And how it's cleaning it up and getting rid of that orange peel and that little bit of garbage. So I have my air set up. I have a regulator over on the wall for this. And the nice thing about the Dynabraids is you can turn that air down to where it's barely running. So if you're getting close to an edge and you want to be real safe and cautious, you can run these things on almost zero and they will still run. And you turn them up and really cut some clear off of there pretty quickly with the 1500 grit too. So what I like to do with these, I always keep a garden hose here. Like I just did, I wash the car off, but I always keep a hose handy and I just spray it off. I'll work a little bit and I'll spray it off, or I have a squeeze bottle too, or a plastic bottle that I will use. Actually, I better grab that right now. I've got it sitting up here. So in this bottle right here, I have always mark it 100% soap and water only. Used on dishwashing liquid. Use that when I wash a car too before I start painting, because it gets rid of the wax and grease also. You know, not just the wax and grease remover. You can spray this down like that. Get a little bit of soap on there. The soap actually helps it glide a little bit, not stick. So right up on top of here, you've seen them little spots. I'm gonna wipe this down and show you one more time, and we'll see what it takes to get rid of that. Show you what I'm kind of talking about here with more detail. Try to get as detailed as I can. So one more time before I get started. Little pieces like this right here, that right there. If you can see that, hope I'm putting my finger in the right place. There we are. Let me just when I painted this car, I put 4 coats of clear coat on it. So I have, you see that right there, little spots. I know it's kind of hard to see, but kind of hard for me to hold this here and use that at the same time, but we will. See, some of that is soap, but a lot of that is clear coat too. So remember, whenever you're sanding on something like that, you see that white milky, that is clear coat. Now you can see the clear, you can see the orange peel a little bit better now. If you look in that light, you see that orange peel there. I'm just going to do a small section just so you can see what I'm talking about and see how flat this gets and how much time saving it is to use this Trizact and a sander rather than doing this by hand. You see how clean it's already starting to pick up some of that. Let me spray this a little bit. And it's a for people that haven't never done this before, it's a scary experience because you take this real pretty shiny paint and then you're gonna sand it. It's like most people say, are you insane that you're gonna sand that real pretty car? But if you really want to get the flatness and the cleanness, you basically have to do that. And as you can see right here, you can see how flat that is now. Yeah, let me get it wet and wipe it off. Just give me 1 second here. You see here while it's drying, you see all this orange peel over here because I barely touched that. Orange peel that's down here, I barely touched that. But as you can see where I started at, little air. You see how flat that is now. I mean, it looks dull, but that's what I want. I'm looking for that dullness. It's telling me that all this orange peel, all these spots that are in that area are gone. So I don't have to hit that very much now, but I'm just gonna, I kind of judged how long it took me to do that, to get to that flat spot, so you can use that judgment for the rest of the vehicle, so you don't sit there and sand in one area and keep sanding in that one area. If you try to do the whole car and make as many sweeps or passes, I should say, back and forth, and you count how many passes that you make, then you come back and you see how what kind of progress you're making, then you can kind of weigh in, measure how many times you need to pass back and forth in that area. So that's just the way that I'm doing it, and it works really well for me. I hope that you guys like these videos and that you're following along. And I'm hopefully maybe teaching you something, or maybe not teaching you, but maybe you're picking up some tips and stuff, and maybe you're way more advanced at this than I am, you know. That's very well possible, because, you know, I'm not a professional. I'm just a guy doing it in my homemade place. I've been doing it for a long time, and I've picked up a lot of tips, and I'm just trying to share them with you guys, and hopefully, you know, help guide you along, or just give you some inspiration, maybe even to go out and be able to do this by yourself. Because you can do this by yourself. You don't need, you know, $150,000 place to do this. I mean, this is my garage I built 30 years ago probably, and I've been working in here for that many years. I built my own paint booth, as you've seen, you know. It's not the fanciest thing. That thing actually used to be solid, nice white years ago, but one of these days I was thinking about painting it, but I built a new shop out the other side, and you probably heard that story before. Hopefully this summer I'm gonna get moved in there, now that summer's kind of coming. It's April. Still got a bunch of snow. The other night it snowed about 1 foot, but it all melted pretty quick. It's supposed to get nice again this week, so hopefully I'll get some of that stuff accomplished. But anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying the videos, and I'm gonna go ahead and get that hood done, turn on some music, and, you know, meditate for a while, and just get that stuff done, and then I'll move over to the Vette. As you can see, it really turned out nice. It's gonna be a sweet car once he gets some new wheels and tires on it. It's gonna look awesome with the original wheels and the tires. You see, there's some orange peel. There's some little bit of stuff in it, but won't be long. That'll be gone. This car's gonna be polished, and it's gonna look hopefully fabulous. The owner is real happy. He came out and checked it out. He was really happy with the progress. So if he's happy, that makes me happy, and that's the goal that I'm shooting for. Also, one thing I was gonna say is, up underneath the wheel wells, when I get all this done, I'm gonna take this off, and I'm gonna paint up underneath all the wheel wells with just the rub under. I use the 3M rubberized undercoating just out of a fizz can. It's really good stuff, and it just makes everything else pop. You're not even gonna see it, but if you do, it looks really nice. But anyways, everybody, thank you very much for following along. Remember those famous quote from my son. All right, thank you very much, and take care.